Welcome everyone to the Friday, November Masterclass. I'm really excited to be here. I can't believe that we're just barreling right into Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. It feels like just yesterday we were in September. Where does time go? But it's exciting. It is one of the most exciting times of year for e-commerce brands. We love it here at JoyDeck. We love helping brands plan and strategize for it. Hopefully you're pretty set for Black Friday if you're running any promotions or anything like that. Let us know in the comments. So let me just go through some housekeeping items before I jump into today's topic, which is, are your emails actually landing in inboxes? So I'm streaming right now on YouTube Live and Facebook Live in the JoyDeck private Facebook group. The YouTube Live is public. And as I mentioned, Rebecca is supporting me today. She's in the comments on both platforms. And as I go through the masterclass, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you just want to chime in or say hi, she will be there and make sure that I see all the comments. She's passing them along to me and also holding them for me if I can't get to them right away. So say hi to Rebecca. Also, if I share any links or resources throughout the masterclass, she will pop them in the comments for you. Also, some more housekeeping. As I said, the Facebook group is for members. YouTube Live is for non-members. I do want to say, so what are the benefits of membership for the people in JoyDeck? They get to enter the monthly challenge that is associated with these master classes. So I'm going to share my screen really quick just for the members who are watching, and also if you're curious, to let you know what that's all about. So members always get access to the masterclass resources, which is the recording of this masterclass. For this particular one, we have an e-commerce marketing checklist and other members only content, including templates and other email marketing related resources. The mini challenge for this month is, and this will make more sense once I finish going through the masterclass, but you're gonna share a screenshot of your current domain record setup in your email provider. And again, this will make much more sense by the end of the masterclass because I want everyone to check their setup and make sure that it is properly authenticated. And there's a link here or a button to submit your challenge. And the cool thing is, everyone who submits for the challenge every month gets entered to win a free Swift on-demand service, which is a $99 value. I'll show you really quick. This is the JoyDeck website. Anyone can go here and anyone can access our Swift on-demand service shop. These are like tune-up services for e-commerce brands that need help with things related to their email marketing, and you can simply add one to your cart and check out. JoyDeck members always get 50% off our Swift on-demand services, and those who enter the challenge also get entered to win one free service for the month. So it's a really good perk of membership, and you can always do the free trial by clicking free trial at myjoydeck.com. All right, housekeeping done. Let's get into it. Let me know in the comments, why are you here? What about this topic piqued your interest? Is it that you've kind of heard about deliverability and you're not sure and you want to know more? Do you think you have an issue with your emails landing in spam? Are you just kind of like worried about it and you're trying to make sure you're best prepared for the holiday season? Let me know. What about this topic piques your interest? And also if you've ever had an issue with potentially landing in spam folders. I've had a number of brands recently come to me about this because they have noticed that their open rates suddenly took a huge dip, like 15% down from 40 to 50%. And they are wondering, what are they doing wrong? It's usually not something you are actively doing wrong. It's probably one of the things that I'm going to talk about in the masterclass today. So let's get started. Are your holiday emails going to land in your subscribers' inboxes? A lot of email marketing resources talk about open rates. We need open rate, subject line. We need a good subject line to ensure that your open rates are good, to ensure that people see them and pay attention. And that's kind of like where the advice ends. It's like, okay, just have a good open rate and you're all good. But there's a lot of technical setup involved with making sure the email actually even makes it to the inbox. You can pour so much time and energy into the perfect holiday email campaign. You have nailed that subject line. You spent a few hours like writing the copy, designing the email, setting it all up. You've done all the pre-planning. You hit send or you schedule it, and then you see, why is my open rate like 10% or something super low or out of the ordinary? Well, it's probably because one, either your list is no longer engaged and you're sending to old disengaged subscribers, or two, your domain isn't set up correctly to be a legitimate sender. And those inboxes like Gmail, like Outlook, like Yahoo, don't trust your domain enough to deliver your email to the inbox. So we want to make sure that all the time and effort that you're putting into your email marketing pays off, and then you're actually getting in front of the people who hopefully want to be hearing from you because you're providing a service, you are providing value. So this happens in a very sneaky way. It happens more often than people think. And it's the kind of thing where a lot of business owners are like, that won't ever happen to me because I'm not a spam sender. I'm not sending like requests from a Nigerian prince for money, right? So like, how could this possibly happen to me? It happens to very well-intentioned businesses, sometimes without even them realizing that they're doing it. But if you understand a few behind-the-scenes basics, that will tell inboxes, I'm trustworthy, deliver this email. I'm going to take a sip of water. Before I keep going. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you've ever noticed a really insane dip in your deliverability, or you're wondering, are my emails going to spam? So, we just had a comment that somebody said, I taught them it's not a good idea to send from a gmail.com email address for your email marketing, and that was something that they didn't realize before and just recently learned. Yes, that's very true. I actually want to talk about that next. It's something that a lot of people don't realize. Up until maybe like, I want to say a year and a half ago, I don't remember the exact date, but there was a change in the way Gmail accepts email to the inbox, especially marketing emails, where it would no longer accept senders of marketing emails to use an at gmail.com, at yahoo.com, at hotmail.com email address. Before that, it was totally fine. You could get away with that. But then they kind of strengthened the rules about that. And the reason is they want you to use your own sending domain, usually like your website address, like at jewelrybrand.com or at whateverbrand.com, your business name, because you can then verify yourself as a sender. Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, those are all free inboxes. A lot of times they're used to send spam communications, and so they are encouraging marketing email senders to take that extra step to verify. And I would say even aside from that, it's just a nice practice to have your emails coming from something that is associated with your brand. It looks more professional and more legitimate in general. So if you use Klaviyo, I know for sure Klaviyo, back in like June, July of last year, they pretty much forced you to use an email address that was from a branded domain. So if you were still sending from like a Gmail or whatever, they would force you to switch basically and to do that verification. But I did notice some providers like Flowdesk. I had some clients that were very recently still sending from Gmail accounts, and I kind of couldn't believe it because that's an outdated bad practice. So if you are somehow still doing that, we're gonna switch over today. There are like a few extra steps of complication, I guess, to set up your own email address, but it's not anything that you can't Google or like ask ChatGPT how to help you with that. And if you have like GoDaddy, for example, they make it very easy to set up an email account through where your domain name is hosted. So it's gonna be something like hello@yourbrand.com or info@yourbrand.com instead of yourbrandmarketing@gmail.com. Again, that means inboxes know it's actually from your brand. It's not someone pretending to be you. This right off the bat is going to make you more likely to land in the inbox instead of the spam folder. And if you do have future issues like spam complaints or something like that, it's much easier to resolve that in the future when you have your own branded sending domain as opposed to like a free Gmail account that you're sending from. And as I said before, it just looks more professional. So another layer of that is don't just send marketing emails from an inbox, okay? That might be like obvious advice, but you must go through an email marketing services provider like Klaviyo, like MailChimp, OmniSend, et cetera. You do not want to be sending bulk marketing emails from your own personal account through an inbox. So I do want to say that just in case it wasn't clear. Yes, so that's really important. I would love to know in the comments, are any of you still using a Gmail account to send your email marketing? No shame. This is like, as I said, or we had a comment just a few minutes ago, some people until recently have still been doing that. And it's okay, because if you're not in marketing, you're not in email marketing, you probably wouldn't know about these things. But that's why you're learning today at this masterclass, so that moving forward, you can use a branded sending domain. I'm going to take another sip of water. So when you set up your domain authentication, which is something you're going to want to do, there are a few different settings in your domain provider that you'll want to change. They call it records in a domain provider. So typically people purchase domains through GoDaddy, through Google Domains. Those are some examples. Those are the most common ones that I come across. And then your email provider will give you these like records, as they're called, or little snippets of code or like a key that then you add to your domain settings. This part's gonna sound technical, but I want you to kind of stick with me on it, because it sounds a lot more intimidating than it is. There are basically 3 records that you want to have associated with your email address as a sender. And there are 3 acronyms. The first one is SPF. The second one is DKIM. And the third one is DMARC. I will admit, I'm an email marketing expert, and I don't actually understand like all of the technical nuance of all of these things, because it's more related to like web development, web security, and permissions. So I don't even fully understand like how it works in internet land, but I do know that these 3 things are kind of like security badges that are associated with your email address, so that, say, when you land in a Gmail inbox, it knows what to do with your email. So let's kind of walk through it, and I'm going to simplify it to make it not intimidating and easy to understand. So SPF. This is not sunscreen. This is related to email marketing. I like to think of SPF as your guest list for sending emails. So if you think of your email like an exclusive party, SPF is a guest list that designates which email platforms are allowed to send on your behalf. So, for example, let's make up a brand, sparklejewelry.com. I'm just going to make up a brand. And your email address is hello@sparklejewelry.com. You can use that email address to send an email from yourself to another person. You could connect that to a Gmail inbox. You could connect that to an Outlook inbox, so that you can send from hello@sparklejewelry.com. When you use an email platform like Klaviyo, MailChimp, MailerLite, and you want to send from that email address, you have to have this permission called SPF that allows Klaviyo, MailerLite, MailChimp to send on your behalf, because it is actually coming from those platforms and not from you. So it is a setting that says, these are the tools that can send as me, or this is the tool that can send as me. And that prevents what's called spoofing, or people sending untrustworthy senders sending on your behalf. And without that record, inboxes just might not trust your email. So it's really important to have that like guest list set up. Also, while I'm talking, I am gonna quickly Google Clavio's documentation for setting this all up so that once I'm done talking, I can show you actual screenshots of how you would set this up. So after SPF, there is an acronym called DKIM. This is kind of the best way I can explain it is it's your digital signature. So if SPF is the guest list, DKIM is the signature on the invitation that goes out. If we're trying to think about it in like not super technical terms, it's basically like a special stamp that proves that your message wasn't tampered with on the way and really did come from you. Otherwise, without that DKIM setting, an inbox could worry that the email could have been forged, or again, it's like a spoofed email. So 'tis the season to be sending holiday cards, right? If you don't sign your name on a holiday card or put a return address, there's no way that your friend would know it's from you, unless there's like a picture of you on it or something like that. So it's kind of that extra step that in computer speak is telling a Gmail inbox that the email is, yes, this is really me. This is not spoofed. It protects your emails from being faked or altered. And all of this is a good thing because we don't want spam. And all of this is helping us avoid receiving spam email addresses. And the third piece, the third acronym that we're going to talk about today, and the one you may have heard of, if you've heard anything about email domain authentication, this one's talked about the most. It's called DMARC. So these are like your house rules. DMARC is like leaving instructions with the bouncer for your party. So like pretend you're saying, if someone shows up without an invite or some kind of like ID card or signature, here's what you should do. So it lets inboxes know how to handle the email, whether it should immediately go in spam, get blocked entirely, or just be like quarantined or watched. So again, this is just another thing of this 3-prong email security process that enforces your email security. And when the main takeaway is that having the DMARC and being a regular email sender, doing all of these best practices the right way, over time, it just keeps building your trust as a sender. So, you know, if you're sending hello@sparklingjewelry.com, you send once a week, you have all these 3 authentications, your list regularly engages with you, all of that builds a reputation of trust over time so that moving forward in the future, Gmail will just know like, okay, they're good. We don't have to worry about this person. Very similarly, that trust can erode. So if you don't have these 3 authentication pieces in place, if you are sending to a list that's disengaged, then the opposite can happen. Over time, trust will erode with the inbox providers like Gmail. And at that point, once you end up in spam, it can be very difficult to get out of spam jail. And that's why this is so important, because reversing all of this stuff, if you don't follow the basic best practices and rules, it can be a huge pain in the butt to kind of recover from that. And we love emphasizing this with our clients because if you think about all the time and energy that you put into building your list over time and nurturing those relationships, to just lose that all because you weren't paying attention to the best practices, it's kind of a shame. It's very silly for that to happen. So follow the rules and you'll be all good. The good news about all of this is that the setup can be mostly automatic. All you need to do is log into your domain provider. Again, as I said, the most common one that we see is GoDaddy. That's the one that we're typically helping our clients with. In GoDaddy, you go to your domain that you want to send from, and you would be modifying the DNS settings. So while I was talking, I pulled up a documentation page from Klaviyo, and I just want to show you because they have some really good screenshots in here. And you can find this just by Googling how to set up a branded sending domain. Similarly, with any email platform that you're using, whether it's MailChimp, whether it's OmniSend, they are all going to have this type of documentation. So you can just Google it to find the one that is for your particular domain provider. So in Klaviyo, I'll just walk you through really quick how to do it so that if you are watching this and you have your Klaviyo account open, you can follow along and just make sure that this all was done. So in the bottom left corner of your account, you click settings. There will be a screen with a tab that says domains. So you will click that and click add domain. If it's already set up, it will give you like a green checkbox and say that you're all verified and good. But if you're not set up, it will walk you through the process of doing it. So you enter what's called a root domain. That's where you're sending your emails from. And typically this just matches the domain of your website for the most part. And Klaviyo actually has an option to do this like dynamically. So that means it walks you through the steps. It's pretty like a one-step process and you just follow the instructions. So there's no like real technical know-how that you have to do this. It will literally tell you, oh, okay, dynamic, great. And then it will give you a list of the records to add. This is an example of what they look like. When you're in GoDaddy or whatever your domain provider is and you click DNS records, you'll see there already exists a lot of different lines that look something like this. And they are all doing different things to tell the internet how your domain should be treated, how certain things should be handled. You're just going to add a few new ones. It's pretty straightforward. There's a place where you can add it. There's a drop down that allows you to choose like record type. And then you just follow the instructions, copy, paste, save, add all of them. And when it's all done, this is what it looks like. See, it's a list, send, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't look like anything that makes sense, but just copying and pasting them over. And once you're done with the process, it will tell you it can take about, I think it's an hour to fully verify. And so you'll want to check back in Klaviyo in the same settings as I mentioned above to show that your checkbox is green, and that it's all good to go. I would say 99% of the time it just works and you don't have to worry about it and it's all good. And this process is pretty much the same for every email provider. So I would love to know in the comments if you have any questions about this process. It's one of those things that probably looks and seems very technical when you are seeing it. But again, they make it so step-by-step easy. If you know how to copy and paste something, you can do this. So I believe in you. You can definitely do this. All right, I'm going to take a sip. So there's the whole technical side of deliverability, which is everything I just talked about, but it doesn't end there. The technical stuff, the authentication, those are all foundational. Those are kind of like the bare minimum things, but to maintain deliverability over time, there's, excuse me, there's a human layer involved. So what do I mean by that? This is especially important if you are moving to a new email platform, but it's also important if you have a list that you haven't emailed for a long time. Let me think of a metaphor. So let's say you're part of a friend group and you're on a group text or a group email or something, group message with this friend group. But this year, it's been kind of a rough year. You haven't really felt like socializing a lot. You haven't felt like you had a lot to contribute. The friend group is pretty active, but you've mostly like sat on the sidelines and haven't said a lot. And people are probably wondering, like, are they okay? Are they around? Maybe you've been ignoring texts a little bit. It's fine. We've all been there. And then suddenly you, after months of this, you're suddenly super active and being like, hey guys, want to go to happy hour or like want to come to a party I'm having at my house? Depending on your friends and your relationship with them, they might be like, oh yeah, it's fine. But I would say most people would like raise an eyebrow at that and be like, what? Okay, where have you been? And be like a little bit skeptical and have varying degrees of reactions to that. It's kind of the same with email marketing. If you just disappear as a sender for a while and you suddenly start sending again, I see this a lot at this time of year when a brand is suddenly like, oh yeah, Christmas is coming. I haven't sent since Mother's Day, but I need to make sure my list is getting my emails, that they suddenly start sending regularly again. And that is not a good idea, especially if you just start hitting up your whole list. It's going to look suspicious, and you always want to think about email as like a warming up and maintenance. And this is why I tell people it's so important to be a regular sender, to send once a week at the very least, because if you're doing it legitimately and you're not spamming and you're sending marketing emails that provide value and are thoughtful, that's going to keep you at like a maintenance reputation in the eyes of platforms like Gmail, whatever, all those platforms. If you stop and you suddenly start again, it's a signal that you could potentially be a spammer. Also, I mentioned if you are migrating to a different email platform, you kind of have to ease into it a little bit, especially if you have a bigger list, like a few thousand people, because technically, let's say you migrated from MailChimp to Klaviyo. Technically, you as a sender are sending from MailChimp, and now you're sending from Klaviyo. So they're two different services, and you don't want to have this like very sudden transition, especially if you're hitting a big list. So in that case, you want to kind of warm it up. Start emailing your most engaged subscribers first. And you would do the same if you are starting up again after a break. Email the people who were the most engaged before, because there's a good chance they won't be shocked that you are coming back, the same way that like your better friends probably won't be surprised or disturbed that you're coming back after you disappeared for a while. And that way, like over a few weeks, you can start expanding and hitting your bigger list. I just talked to someone recently who, like just a few weeks ago, who was having this issue. There was a deliverability issue. We haven't fully figured out yet what caused it. I think it was just a lapse in sending for a period of time. And then they started sending again, and their open rates suddenly were really terrible. And that's a tricky thing to fix at this time of year, because the only advice for that is now you kind of have to be more intentional. And for the next few weeks, I only want you to email the most engaged people, which is a much smaller segment of your list. And that can be hard advice to hear when, you know, you're coming up on the busiest time of year. But that in the long run is better than totally ruining your email reputation, which is extremely hard to recover from. So don't get to that point is kind of what I'm saying. Treat it like it's a relationship that you have to maintain and stay like in good standing. If you start and stop, if you change your strategy a lot, if you randomly add people to your list that don't have a clear path of opt-in, I've seen that too. Just don't do that. Follow the good practices of opting people in, only emailing people who want to be there, emailing regularly, and being mindful of all that. Just don't act like a spammer. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Just like be a good person in your email habits, and you shouldn't have a problem. Also, if you do another really good deliverability habit, so over time, inevitably with a list, no matter how good you are about emailing it, how nice you are, how regular you are, people on your list will start to fall off. What I mean by that is they stop opening, they stop clicking. It may not even be you. People change inboxes. A lot of people have like work emails. Maybe they change their job. Maybe they just don't look at email much anymore. So there is a pretty regular like churn rate of subscribers. And you have to regularly be cleaning your list as well as regularly replenishing it. So looking to add new subscribers, encouraging people to sign up, because there's no way on any planet that you are just going to maintain your whole list perfectly forever. There's going to be natural turnover. And so you want to make sure that you have something in place, like a sunset flow is what it's called. And that's an automation that you can set up in any email provider that checks for the disengaged people. Usually what that means is they've been on your list for 180 days at least. And within that 180 days, they haven't opened, they haven't clicked, they haven't visited your site, they haven't made a purchase. That's a pretty good sign that they are checked out, they're gone. And so a flow like that, once they qualify for those conditions, adds them. It sends them an email that checks in with them. Do you still want to be subscribed? It usually gives them 2 chances. And then if they still don't engage with those emails, they get suppressed or unsubscribed. Nobody likes losing subscribers. It can feel really painful, especially if you have a smaller list and you're struggling to build it. But I promise you that being brutal with that, with the list cleaning, rather than trying to hang on to people that like just aren't not that into you anyway, or not even that, they just aren't active. That's going to hurt you more in the long run than being upset about having to clean them out. So that is very important. Also, make sure you're testing all your emails. Send tests to yourself. There's also a free tool called mailtester.com. I'll show you. Let me pull it up. It's mail-tester.com. Let me open it and share my screen. Mail-tester.com. So instead of sending a test email to yourself or to someone else, you copy this email address, send a test to it, and then after you send the test, you click then check your score, and it will point out anything that it notices that could be like a spam signal, like, or just a best practice lapse in best practices, like you're missing alt text, maybe the file size is like very big, or it will find if you are missing the SPF, DKIM, DMARC, etc. You're usually good, but it's always good to check, especially if you've never done this exercise before and you're curious about, do your emails come across as spammy? And the last thing I want to say is, like, how do you know if you're in trouble? I would say if you see a sudden dip in open rates, like below 15 to 20%, let's say before you were averaging like 40%, and then suddenly, the past few campaigns, they suddenly started dipping. Subscribe to your own emails, have friends subscribe to them, family members. If you have multiple inboxes, subscribe with each inbox and just check that they're not in your spam folder. Also, in your reporting and analytics, if you see spikes in bounce rates or spam complaints, that could be a sign that there's something wrong with your deliverability. And yeah, that's it. Some of these steps are more technical. Some of them are more human or more common sense. Some of them are just more like marketing hygiene. But having a combination of all of these things happening will give you your best chance at landing in inboxes and maintaining your place there, so that all the hard work that you put into email marketing actually works for you. You know, you don't want to waste your time on something that is just not even getting in front of people. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions. That is the masterclass. That's all I have. I'd love to answer any questions you may have about this topic. In the meantime, as a reminder, JoyDeck members get the replay. They get to enter the challenge this month. And everyone who enters by November 30th has a chance to win a free Swift on-demand service. I mentioned this at the top of the masterclass, but if you go to myjoydeck.com, you'll see our SOS shop and our quick hit marketing services designed to help you improve aspects of your email marketing that may need support and guidance. Typically, they cost $99 for people who aren't JoyDeck members. JoyDeck members always get 50% off, and those who enter the challenge are entered to win a free service. So it's pretty cool. If you're not a member, you can go to myjoydeck.com and click free trial to get your 30-day trial of JoyDeck for all the resources related to email deliverability and marketing in general, as well as our December content calendar, which will be dropping today. I'm very excited about that. Get a head start on your planning for the holidays. All right, everyone. It's been an amazing masterclass. I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for watching, and